in Basking Live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to share with you some of the things that I've been working on, some of the things coming up, some of the things, some Stampin' news, whatever's going on at the moment. Today, I'm going to be featuring a couple of different things all at once. The first is going to be a Father's Day card, and it's actually a card that will be featured in my Zoom card class, which is taking place on the 28th of this month, where I send out the card kits and you join a Zoom class and we make cards. This is one of the 3 different designs that we'll do. So that's the first thing. And the second is I'm going to show you how to adapt the design or the template, if you will, to make a completely different card or 2. So those are the main things that we're going to talk about today, but I think I have a bunch of little tidbits in here. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is take a look at what I'm considering my template. This is just, people often call them sketches, and I actually usually call them sketches, but Stampin' Up! Has added to the catalog on page 22 in the section that is entitled Quick and Easy. Let's see what they call it. They call Quick and Easy Options. And here's that title page. It's on page 13, Quick and Easy Options. But on page 22 at the very bottom, you might have missed it, but here are a bunch of little inspirational templates. And they call them templates, so I'm going to try to start calling them templates, but you might hear me call them sketches. Now, the one we're using today is not one of the ones featured here, so it kind of shows, I'll be showing you how I took something that I normally do and then turn it into a template that I could then use on other cards with different designs. But in the future, I'm going to be featuring each of these different templates, probably one at a time, in future classes. So just something to note, but these are designed to help you create your own cards just using inks and paper and stamps. Okay, so that's where that came from. So this is what my very rough sketch or template looks like. It's got, working from the bottom, it's got a piece of designer series paper here. There's another piece of designer series paper on top, a third designer series paper across, and also a circle designer series paper. Now, I'm not going to show you the sample. We're just going to go ahead and build the card so that you can see how that turns out, and then we'll look at this again so you can see where it came from. So as I mentioned, this is from my card class that I'm holding on the 28th, and I thought you might like to see how the card kit comes. I have each one labeled card 1, card 2, or card 3, and inside each clear envelope are the supplies for 2 cards. And in there, the card base is pre-folded usually, and then we have all our little things. And these are the sentiment labels that I package separately and then put in because sometimes people like to stamp them ahead of time. Okay, it all usually, not always, but usually includes something extra. And this time we have, these are the basic gray and silver slate pearls. So they are silvery pearls. They're really pretty. And then we have our designer series paper. So you can see here, I'm using the designer series paper called Take to the Skies. And this is the masculine paper. And let me just show you that suite. And I have had it here. Let's see if I can grab it. I have all the pages marked, but that one because I switched over. See? All the best plans. Always something, right? Okay, so Take to the Sky. Here is the suite. So we have a stamp set, aviation themed, and then we've got the dies that go with it. There are also these industrial trinkets, and I did not include them on this card only because number one, they're currently out of stock, but number two, they're heavy. They're kind of big and heavy, and they just didn't go with this card. But the designer series paper that I'm using I often, yes, Christy, thank you for asking. I do use a sketch very often. I just like the idea of being able to get the balance. I'm not intuitive that way, but by looking at a sketch, I know that somebody has thought about what looks good, and then it's just a matter of filling in with the cardstock and the designer series paper and whatever. So thank you for asking that question. And then anyway, this is the designer series paper that goes with it, and this paper is fabulous. And I love the fact that on this card we're using a bunch of it. We're using 4 different designs, and I will show you the flip sides of them too. We're going to use this one, but that there's part of a map on the other side. We've got airplanes, and then this is a different kind of map. Oops, I'm not showing you properly. This is some nice design, manlyish. And then look at these airplanes, sketched airplanes. And then this is like brick face, if you will. And then on the other side are some more airplanes. So you can see big aviation theme. And again, remember, when I do the card class, I send out doubles, right? Because we're going to make 2 each of 3 designs. So let's go ahead, and the first thing I like to do is to put my white on the inside of my card. I always do that anytime the card base is not a very light color. There are only a few colors that I don't use the white inside for, just because I like to be able to make sure you can see when you write on it. Okay, so now we're going to work on our card front. Oh, I didn't mention, this is gray granite. I believe the color listed for this stamp set, for the designer series paper is smoky slate, but I didn't have enough of it to do the class. I also did several other classes, so I had to balance, but this works just as well. And I'm going to start with this piece of designer series paper, and this one is 2.5 by 4.25. And this is something I don't usually do, but I'm going to actually lift up this bottom layer. And to do so, I'm going to use my dimensionals, but I'm going to use the edges just because that's how I roll. And I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm going to use the edges, and I just tear them. You can see here. And I just get a nice big piece, and I lay it down. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to lay it down and put it to the right side of the card and hopefully get it straight. I have a camera in my face, so it's hard to know exactly where I am. Okay, and now I'm going to use regular adhesive to put the second piece over. This piece is 2 inches by 5.25. And you could use wet adhesive, but I like to use my Stampin' Seal, just easier for me. And I think this is my favorite sheet out of the entire package of paper. Look at the detail, although it's still sketched, of the airplanes. And you can kind of see them, you know, the propellers whirling. Very cool. Then I'm going to take my circle that I punched. This is 2 3/8, so it's the 2 3/8 circle punch. And I pre-punched that so that you could have that in your card kit. And I don't know if there's a right way or a wrong way, but where the lines are, I'm going to make them go across. I'm going to lay that down there. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to take this strip, designer series paper, and I'm going to lay it across. Okay, you can see how it all kind of ties together, but by lifting up that very bottom piece, now what I might want to do here is put a little dimensional underneath here, just because of the positioning. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I put it here onto my card, and that way it too is lifted up off the page. Okay, so that is the basis of the card. Boy, that does not look straight. I tried to make it straight, didn't get very far. Okay, now we're going to stamp a sentiment onto a circle that I've die cut with the Stylish Shapes dies, and I'm going to use the Adventure Sky because it has a couple of things that would fit into that circle, which is always nice. And I'm going to use the one that says Happiest Father's Day. And I'm going to use my Night of Navy ink pad. Tap, tap, tap. Not squish, 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 right, ladies? And stamp that down. There we go. Happiest Father's Day. And I'm going to adhere that with another dimensional right here. Here we go. And I just use one. I don't really want to go crazy. Happiest Father's Day. Woohoo! All right. And then I'm going to add my pearls. Now you'll notice I have two different sizes here. There are small ones and large ones. I always like to put two of one and one of the other on a card if I have that option, which makes it a little funky when I'm dividing things up, but I think it's worth it. And I'm going to put them on here. I think on my original sample I may have put it on the outside, but I'm going to put it on the actual circle, saving my other ones for another card. And then I'm going to put the last one here. And the idea behind the pearls, a little bling first of all, but also to draw the eye around the card. Okay, so that if they look here, they'll look around the card, get to the message, and then their eye will go to the other pearl. And I probably want to put that a little bit higher. Oh, good, I can. There we go. Squash it down, and there we have our card. So let's go back to the sketch and see how that looked. It's all the same. I use those dimensions. You could always alter the dimensions as well. You could also, if you're crazy, you could turn it on its side and do the card this way, right? That would look cool too, and put your message over here. So there are lots of different things that you can do with a template or sketch. And when I was scrapbooking, which I did a lot of back in the day, and I'm excited to try to get back to that soon, but when I scrapbooked, I always used sketches. They had books that or magazines that were published. I bought every single one of them, and they would show a sketch of a two-page spread, and then also they would have some samples showing, different photos in those places, maybe different papers that were used. And I really enjoyed doing it that way. And like I said, it's because it always made me feel like I had the proper balance for the card, which I don't do intuitively. So when it comes to card making, I often will also do that, but usually it's not with an actual sketch. This goes back to your question, Christy. It's not an actual sketch that I might necessarily use, but I will look at a sample card that somebody else has made, and I'll say, oh, I like the way that looks. I like the balance of that, and I'll kind of form that sketch or template in my head and usually make some kind, alter it in some way. So, anyway, so that's a sketch. So that's nice, right? Okay, let's see another card that was made with that. So I did a paper share, and when I do a paper share, I always save one for me so that I have some of all the paper. Now this paper is the lily pad, la 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 la, right here. Where's my lily pad? It's on the next page. Oh, God. Why can't I ever find anything when I'm looking for it? Well, let's take a look at the catalog. We'll find it here. Lily Pond Lane. I'm sorry, Lily Pond Lane. So the designer series paper you'll see is all 6x6. And I have to say, it wasn't necessarily my style when I looked at it. I mean, I think the ducks are very cute. But as 6x6 paper goes, for my purposes and the kinds of cards that I make, I didn't really see how I was going to use it. However, every page has a flip side, and on the flip side were many different designs that I really liked. So I took a few of those and I put them together. Now this one, I did not pop up the base, mostly because I think I forgot when I was creating this particular card, but it's the same thing. It's got that 2.5-inch wide one back here. This is only 2 inches. We've got a circle. The circle is actually a little smaller, and then this is the 1.25 by 4.25 going across. This hello is from my favorite stamp set to own. If you're looking for a stamp set to own, this is the one you want. It's called Simply Said. It has all the basics, and all of my cards that I create for my Zoom card classes, if you ever want to take them, will fit at least one of these stamps. Okay, so just so that you know, but that's where the hello is from on this card. Okay, but you can see it's the same sketch, right? Same design. And let's do one more. This one, I just cut out the pieces so we can make it together. And this one is made with the gorgeous, really pretty, wildly flowering designer series papers. Look at this. Look how pretty these are. I was at a meeting yesterday and somebody said they look like wallpaper, and they do. Some of the pages really do look like wallpaper. So they are just beautiful, and they have nice, more subtle designs on the other side, which is something that this particular sketch kind of needs, because if you put all four busy patterns together, it's going to be overwhelming. So I chose to use these patterns, and this card base, just so you know, is the new basic beige. It is a new neutral, which is always good to have. And so I'm going to take one of those designs that I said was a little bit more subdued, okay? And then this one, we're actually going to make this card this way so that you can see what I was talking about, okay? So we're going to take this, and plus that's how I cut the paper. And we will pop this up again using the edges. You can do however you like to do it. You don't have to pop it up like you saw on the last card. Not necessary. But whoops, there we go. Put that down there. And here we go. All right, so these pretty flowers, we'll put them down here. Try to get that straight. Okay. In addition, we're going to take this. This is the one I really thought looked like some really pretty wallpaper. And look at the background on it. It looks like it's textured. It's not, but it looks like it is. And we're going to put some adhesive back there. And it's going to sit on top. Let's see. Try to get this centered. Yep, the Stampin' Seal is so strong. And sometimes it gets carried away. There we go. Get that down. And we'll put this one the same way as we did, but this time it's going up and down the card instead of, I'm going to actually put it right at the edge down here so that it's popped up too. And it's sitting on top of the piece that's already popped up. Here we go. Okay, and then we'll put our circle. I think the circle is supposed to go underneath. I wasn't thinking, so let me put some adhesive there. And we'll just slide that under here. And you can see how the less busy patterns help accent the busier patterns. And for this one, I wanted to use a different style punch. I could have used a circle, but I decided instead to use the hexagon. I decided to go with white to try to bring out these little flowers here. And I'm using that Simply Said stamp set to stamp just a note. And I don't have the stamp set that goes with this paper yet, right? It's always yet when it comes to that. But I would probably stamp a flower on there as well if I had it, but I don't. I'm going to just leave it like that. And I'm going to just make sure that I'm touching all the different pieces of the paper. So I want to touch this, I want to touch the circle, and I want to touch this piece here. And we'll use some dimensionals to do that. Boom, boom. And here we go. Now, other things that you can do to dress this up even more, we could have embossed the background here. We could use, you could use just solid cardstock instead of the designer series paper. And I always like to have a little bit of bling. I can't really help it. And when in doubt of what colors to use, I always go to the iridescent pearls. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put one down here, one of the big ones up here, and a small one up there as well. Again, to draw the eye around. So this is yet another card done with that same template, except this time we turned the template onto its side, and it went this way. So you can see how that works. So you can see how useful templates can be and how you get a completely different look. Let's take a look at how these are all a little bit different, right? And Nope, can't really see them all together, but we'll put them like this. Here we go. So you get an idea of how they can look different. So anyway, drop me a note and let me know what you thought about the template, and if you might, if you use them, or if you're thinking about using them. And certainly if you have any questions about how to use a template, please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to work with you and let you know. And if you're interested in taking my class, which is being held on the 28th, you need to let me know by Friday of this week, that's the 17th, so that I can get the card kit into the mail for you. It's $15 plus $4 shipping if necessary. US only, though. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'd love to have you at my class. I only have 3 spots left. So if you're interested, please be sure to let me know. You can DM me, you can email me, whatever works for you. So anyway, we'll see you next week with another sketch or template, and have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye now.